بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to continue our study of Mafatihul Hayat by Ayatollah Jawadi Amuli Hafadahullah. And as you remember, we are in the section on environment, and this is the very last section of the book. There is a little left from last week, which is about sea and ocean, and we said it is somehow connected to the discussion for today, which is about roads and transport. So Ayatollah Jawadi Amuli says that in Islam, one of sadaqat jariyah, one of the continuing and ongoing charitable activities that can even be rewarded after someone dies is to make a river, a channel that brings water to the people who need water for their drinking or farming, etc. And this is going to be always remembered and appreciated and rewarded. For example, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, سبعة أسباب يكتب للعبد ثوابها بعد وفاته. There are 7 things that their reward will be registered, will be written down for the servant of Allah even after their death. And as we have said many times, and Ayatollah Jawadi Amuli mentions here, this 7 is example. It doesn't mean there is no 8. In this hadith, 7 things are mentioned. One of them is ajra nahran, someone who makes a river flow, means makes a channel and brings water, or maybe a water is blocked, the river is blocked, and he cleans and opens the channel again. Or Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, ست خصال ينتفع بها المؤمن بعد موته. There are 6 things that mu'min, even after his or her death, would benefit from. One is صدقة ماء يجري. صدقة ماء يجري, as an act of charity when he or she makes water flow and come to people who need that water. And then he talks about the need for being very careful in the way we treat water, and in general, as we said before, but also rivers, channels, lakes and seas and oceans. And one important aspect of being careful about them is to keep them clean and not to pollute them. And there is a beautiful hadith that inshallah we will talk about it later as well, because it's about any kind of road, any kind of passage, can be on the sea, can be in the land. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Man amata an tariq al-muslimin ma yu'dhihim." If someone removes from before the feet of people, or from the way that people go through, if he removes things that would annoy them, would hurt them, sometimes there is, I don't know, for example, some plants that they have some thorns, or there are things that are narrowing down the passage, as we will talk about it a lot. So anything that hurts and annoys passengers or people who are using that road, maybe drivers, maybe people who are sailing on boat. Anything that you do in order to stop people being annoyed and hurt when they are traveling or walking or moving, كتب الله له أجر قراءة 400 آية. Allah would register for these people a reward of reciting 400 ayah, 400 verses, but not any 400 verses, because this is very special. كل حرف منها بعشر حسنات. In each ayah there are many words, and in the words are letters. Even if ayah is very short, like Mudhammatan for example, still there are several letters. So 400 ayah to be recited, and for every letter there is 10 hasana. Perhaps one reason is because many people are going to benefit from this charity. Every day many people are going to pass and use this road, or this passage, this channel, this street. And if you can make it clean, make it nice, keep it open, remove blockage. Sometime inshallah we will talk about it, that put light so that when people are passing by can see, no one is going to, for example hurt himself or herself. So much barakah is there. And then he finally talks about not polluting seas and oceans, and he says that our life, physical and also religious and spiritual life, are connected with environment, and if we are not careful about them, we would be affected, and if we are not careful about ourselves, they would be affected. If we have taqwa and good akhlaq, they would benefit. If we don't have taqwa and good akhlaq, and we waste things, we corrupt, we commit sins, they also would be affected. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, Hayatu dawab bil bahr bil matar. The life of the living beings that live inside sea is dependent on rain. As we said, rain is very important to bring fresh water, oxygen, lots of barakat comes with rain. So those things like fish and other insects and animals and plants who live inside the sea, they benefit from rain. فإذا كف المطر ظهر الفساد في البحر والبحر. If rain stops, there would be more problems, and fasad, corruption, would ظهر, becomes dominant or abundant or appear, as we said different interpretations last week, in the sea and in the land. وذلك إذا كثرت الذنوب والمعاصي. When rain stops, when sins become more. So, na'udhu billah, if we human beings sin, rain would go away, and then not only we suffer, we make also inhabitants inside the sea and rivers also suffer. The next chapter is about roads. In Islam, great emphasis has been put on making roads, even at that time. Although that time most of the transport was just, either on feet or by animals. Sometimes also in the sea with boats. But Islam has this, anticipation about significance of roads, and inshallah later I will mention a hadith about what Imam Mahdi ajalallah ta'ala farajahu sharif is going to do about the main roads. So Islam says we should make roads, we should maintain them, we should improve them, we should clean them, we should remove blockage, We should remove anything that would hurt people who are passing by. All these things. We should put light so that people can find their way easily. So all these things are mentioned. Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam was informed about a case. This is the hadith. أن علي عليه السلام أنه سئل عن قوم قسموا أرضا أو دارا على أنه لا طريق لواحد منهم. Some people divided a land or a house, but the way they divided, they left no passage, no road. They kept all for themselves and they didn't leave anything for passing. So if you wanted to go out, you have to go through someone's house, for example, or someone's land. فقال ليس هذا من قسمة المسلمين. This is not the way Muslims can divide. تفسخ هذه القسمة. This division is cancelled. وترد إلى الحق. And it should be sent back to the haq, to the truth or to the right things and to the proper way of dividing. When you divide, you should also consider from the beginning where people are going to come and go. Inhabitants of these houses, visitors, etc. Widening the roads, although this is relative, depending on traffic, depending on population, depending on what means for transport they are using. Are they using, for example, bicycle? Are they using, for example, motorcycles or cars or lorries or trucks? All these factors are important. But in general, Islam is concerned about the width of the road. In the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the expectation was sab'atu adhra, 7 dhira, about more than 7 meters. Maybe you can say about 7 meter and 20-30 centimeters, for example. At that time, 7 meters was important. So inside the lanes in Medina, they used to observe this much so that people can. There was no car, there was not that much traffic, but still they had to observe at least this much. But now, unfortunately, after 14th centuries, there are lanes and streets somewhere, even sometimes in Western countries, you have places very narrow. There was a place that. When people wanted to go by bicycle, they could not turn away, and turn around their bicycle. They had to go, backward. So narrow. So this is not acceptable. But the hadith about Imam Mahdi Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Fajr that I told you is here. Sheikh Tusi Rahmatullah Alayh in his Al-Ghaibah quotes this hadith. That when Imam Mahdi alayhi salam is exercising his leadership, one of the things that he does is this: وَيُوَسِّعُ الطَّرِيقَ الْأَعْظَمِ. He would expand and widen the main road. فَيَصِيرُ 60 ذِرَاعًا. And it becomes more than 60 meters. 60 meters. 14 centuries ago, thinking of a road which is 60 meters, it was beyond imagination. But it seems that in the time of Imam Mahdi Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif, this would be for normal, not maybe for highways. No, for the normal streets would be like this. وَيَهْدِمُ كُلَّ مَسْجِدٍ عَلَى الطَّرِيقِ. if a masjid is built in the past and now it's blocking the way, people need wider road, and this masjid is on the way. Of course, you know, masjid has, especially if the siqa, the formula for masjid is cited and is made, you know, masjid, it's very, very difficult to deal with destruction of masjid, and only someone with highest level of authority, religious authority, can decide. But one case that imam or hakim shara may think that it's necessary is to make a road. In Qom, for example, you know, we had a masjid in Khak Faraj. You know, those who are from Qom, they know that when they wanted to make the road, this masjid was on the way, and I think they got permission from Hakim Shah to make a bigger masjid next to the new road, and then that masjid had to be demolished. I think in Isfahan they did this. Of course, I don't know everywhere, you know, what they did, whether they checked or not. But if needed, the transport of people is so important that even masjid can be destroyed, of course, under certain conditions. And for example, in the time of Imam Mahdi Ajalallah Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif, when he has authority, he may do this. So يهدم كل مسجد على الطريق, every masjid which is blocking the way for people would be destroyed. And also كل جناح وكنيف وميزاب إلى الطريق, any drainage, any pipeline which is bringing drainage to the way that people are passing by, Imam would stop them. It means under his urban management system, not that Imam himself, you know, deals with these details, but this would be the way he would make the policies for urban planning. Cleaning the passage. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, اعذل الأذى عن طريق المسلمين, remove anything that hurt Muslims who are passing by. Of course, this was about Muslim cities, and these hadiths are not exclusive to Muslims. We have to understand, when we say Muslim here, is it only for Muslims or only for believers, or it's because Medina was a city for Muslims? Otherwise, if we are in a mixed religious community, still it seems that the same ruling applies, that this is the road that Muslims and non-Muslims are going to use. So you should try to keep it clean, and اعذل الأذى, remove anything that is going to annoy and hurt. Or in another hadith, it is said that one of the branches, one of the requirements of Iman is إماطة الأعضاء عن الطريق, to remove something that can annoy people from the roads and passages. And we have something very beautiful about Sajjad alayhi salam, Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam, that even when he was riding, for example, a camel, and he was seeing there is a piece of, for example, dried clay on the road, or, you know, something like that, that could hurt people, he was coming down, taking that, putting in a safe place, and continuing. لقد كان, this is narrated by Sheikh Tusi in his Amali, and then in Bihar al-Anwar also Allama Majlisi mentions this. لقد كان علي بن الحسين عليه السلام يمر على المدرة في وسط الطريق فينزل على دابته ينحيها بيده عن الطريق. Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam, not once, twice. This is continuously happening in the life of Imam, because it says كان علي بن الحسين يمر. This is ماضي استمراري, continuous past tense. So he was riding, and then there is a piece of dried clay, something on the road, coming down, and with his own hand taking this and putting it away. Now, few things about benefits of cleaning the roads. One, this is considered as sadaqah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said one of the sadaqat, one of the charitable acts is tanhiyah an al-shay tunahihi an al-tariq, something that you remove it from the road. This is sadaqah. Once Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Inna ala kulli muslimin fi kulli yawmin sadaqah." Every Muslim every day must give at least one sadaqah. Some people said, "Man yutiqu dhalik?" Qala rajulun man yutiqu dhalik? O Rasulullah, who can do this every day giving sadaqah? They thought, they must be give perhaps sum of money, and they cannot afford. Rasulullah said, "Imatatuka al-adha an al-tariq sadaqatun." Imatatuka. If you remove something which is hurting people from the road, this is sadaqah. This is free. It just needs, kindness and attention. This is also sadaqah. At least every day do one thing as sadaqah. The next thing is that it is leading to forgiveness. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is quoted as saying, غفر الله عز وجل لرجل أماطة with طاء, not أماطة from ميت, أماطة قصن شوك عن الطريق ما تقدم من ذنبه وما تأخر. If there is thorn, some plants, they have thorns that can injure, that can start bleeding. If someone removes these thorns from the road, Allah would forgive their past sins and the later ones, the early ones and the later ones. This is how much Islam emphasizes on being kind and caring, especially when it comes to social life. The reward for 400 verses which we already mentioned. Another thing is that it is hasaniyya maktub. It's registered as a hasana. For example, من أماط أذى عن طريق المسلمين كتب له حسنة ومن تقبلت منه حسنة دخل الجنة. Rasulullah said, if you remove what hurts people, annoys people from the road, this will be written down as a hasana, and if one hasana is accepted, people can go to heaven. If you manage to do at least one hasana in the way that it is accepted by Allah with sincerity, and keep it and don't destroy it later, this would be qualifying you for heaven. Of course, I repeat what we said before, that sometimes unfortunately we have so much minus that may not help us or let us benefit from hasana. But if someone is doing hasana really, and something which is going to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so it means that this person is a nice person, is a caring person, a pious person, then he would go to heaven. In another hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Uridat alayya ummati bi'a'maliha hasanaha wa sayyi'aha." My ummah with their a'mal were presented to me. So Allah informed the Prophet about a'mal of his ummah, good ones and bad ones. فَرَأَيْتُ فِي مَحَاسِنِ أَعْمَالِهَا إِمَاطَةَ الْأَذَى عَنْ طَرِيقٍ. This is narrated by our Sunni brothers. I saw among the good actions of my ummah is to remove things that annoy people from the roads. So much emphasis has been put about this issue. There is a beautiful hadith that shows that it can stop the pressure or pain of grave, the punishment of barzakh, even for someone's parents. مر عيسى بن مريم عليه السلام بقبر يعذب صاحبه. Once Isa alayhi salam was passing by a grave, and because Isa alayhi salam's eyes were open, he could see that the person who is buried is in difficulty in barzakh. ثم مر به من قابل فإذا هو ليس يعذب. Then next year again, by chance, he passed by the same grave. I am saying by chance, I don't know, maybe it was planned. Anyway, next year also he passed by the same grave. And so this time this person is not being punished. فقال يا رب مررت بهذا القبر عام أول فكان صاحبه يعذب ثم مررت به العام فإذا هو ليس يعذب. He asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, my Lord, last year he was punished, this year he is not punished. فأوحى الله عز وجل إليه يا روح الله إنه أدرك له ولد صالح فأصلح طريقا أو آوى يتيما فغفرت له بما عمل ابنه. He has a righteous son, and perhaps adraka means he is now baligh, he is now mature, he is now able to do certain things, and what he has done is فأصلح طريقا. He improved a road, he removed the problems from a road, or gave shelter and refuge to an orphan, and because of that his father is not being punished. Although his father didn't do anything, but as you know, when you leave behind some good children, what they do also you would be benefiting from. Heaven is also promised. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has informed that the reward for a person that sees there is, sometimes there is a tree and branches of this tree are coming on the way of people. If someone removes these branches so that people are not hurt, Rasulullah says this person would be given heaven by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In another hadith says دخل عبد الجنة بقصن من شوك كان على طريق المسلمين فأماته عنه. A person entered heaven means is decided to enter heaven because of one plant with thorns that he removed from the path. The next heading is about putting light where people are going to pass by on the roads, on the streets. There are some hadiths here which are very interesting, and it can give you some ideas about Islamic lifestyle and how Islam tries to bring also some happy and some positive energy to our life. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, إن الله عز وجل إذا أنعم على عبد نعمة أحب أن يرى عليه أثرها. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives a person some blessings, He wants to see the effect of those blessings. You know, we also, if we go to our fitrah, we find the same. If I give someone, for example, who is walking and, you know, cold weather is a very long, you know, journey, I give him a car. So I like him to use the car and see him come, not that, you know, he's not using it. Or someone, for example, doesn't have a good clothes, I give him a clothes. So I love that person to use these clothes. Someone doesn't have a book, a textbook for his study, I give him these textbooks. I love him to use it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He gives us blessings, He loves us to use them. قِيلَ وَكَيْفَ ذَلِكَ. Someone asked, what does it mean that Allah loves to see the effect of that? Imam said, يُنَظِّفُ ثَوْبَهُ. Allah has given you clothes. Okay, so use it and make it clean. Put on clean clothes. وَيُطَيِّبُ رِيحَهُ. Use good fragrance. وَيُجَسِّسُ دَارَهُ. Your house needs new painting or new plaster. Make it clean, make it nice. وَيَكْنُسُ أَفْنِيَتَهُ. Clean the entrance to your house. حَتَّى إِنَّ السِّرَاجِ قَبْلَ مَغِيبِ الشَّمْسِ. Before sun sets, before it gets dark, put on some light. يَنْفِي الْفَقْرَ وَيَزِيدُ فِي الرِّزْقِ. This would remove poverty and would increase your rizq. Don't say, you know, it's going to cost me something. Don't let sun sets and your family are in darkness. Or, for example, if you are outside, you know, or you can, you know, make for people some light. We don't have israf, but if there is a good use, this is not israf. You know, there is a discussion that some people say there is no israf in light. And I heard, you know, many years ago, Imam Khomeini asked some people, some talabe, you know, that they had, you know, put light when it was not needed. And they said there is no israf in light. Imam Khomeini said, no, this is not correct. This is what I have heard. And it makes lots of sense. Because israf is israf. Israf is haram. But the question is, when we say there is no israf in light, means that when you need light, this is not israf. Not that israf is okay. Israf is not okay. To use something in excess without reasonable benefit, it's haram. With water, light, etc. But if sun is setting, room is dark, and I want to make myself, my family, my people, you know, happy and not, you know, feel, you know, very sad and not be able to do anything, I put on light. This is not israf. Don't say this is israf, but it is okay. This is not israf. So Imam Sadiq says, حَتَّى إِنَّ السِّرَاجِ قَبْلَ مَغِيبِ الشَّمْسِ. If you are able, if you can afford, make this. And this would remove poverty, although you are going to spend some money, but don't worry, it will come back. It will actually stop poverty. And يَزِيدُ فِي الرِّزْقِ. Or if you can make masjid illuminated and bright. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is quoted saying, "Man asraja fi masjidin min masajidillah azza wa jal sirajan." If someone can put a light in the masjid, لم تزل الملائكة وحملة العرش يستغفرون له ما دام في ذلك المسجد ضوء من السراج. As long as there is this light here that is shining from this masjid, angels and especially those angels that carry divine throne, divine arsh, they would do istighfar for this person. Masjid should be where people can go inside. If it is dark, then how can people go inside? How can they recite Quran? Then there is a heading about punishment for people who block the way, block the roads. Of course, more severe is those who block the spiritual way, يَصُدُّونَ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. But also those who block the physical road and physical way also is problem. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam in Al-Kafi is quoted, مَنْ أَضَرَّ بِشَيْءٍ مِّن طَرِيقِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ فَهُوَ لَهُ ضَامِنٌ. If someone harms the passage of Muslims, perhaps it means that he's taking away some of the road. Some people add to their own land or home the passage. Anyway, if they harm, they are dhamin, they are responsible. If people put their drainage on the road and people suffer because of that, they are dhamin. And of course details should be taken from fiqh, from your marja. Sheikh Saduq rahmatullah alayh in Man La Yahduruhu al-Faqih says that it has been narrated, if someone blocks the road, batarallahu umrah, his life or her life would be made short, becomes abtar, incomplete. Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam is quoted as saying, one of the scenes that yutu'ajjilul fana, brings earlier the death, is saddu turuq al-muslimin, to block the passage and the roads that Muslims are using. So no one should dare blocking the passage, the roads. And this can be permanent, can be temporary. Sometimes people temporarily, they want to sell something, I don't know, for any reason, they temporarily. Maybe there are some emergency cases, there is no way except, for example, someone needs to do some construction, there is no other alternative. But again, here they should do it very carefully to keep it to the minimum. And maybe in some cases still they would be zamen, so they have to check their responsibilities. Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam, when he was Khalifa, he noticed that some people have caused problems about the roads. They have put drainage from the roofs coming to the road, they have blocked the road, different types of problems. He said, لا أعفو عنكم إلا على أن أرجع وقد هدمتم هذه المجالس وسددتم كل كوة. Anything that you have put on the road, you have to remove it. Any holes you have made to put water, inside, outside, you have to stop. You have to make things into nice order till I come back. He gave them some deadline and he said, when I come back, this should not be there anymore. Then there is a heading about some of the examples, some of the instances of blocking the road. For example, some people make walls inside the road for themselves. For example, they want a safe place for their car, I don't know. So they take from the road. No, it's not allowed. Or they, expand the road, the walls of their, I don't know, courtyard, etc. It's not allowed. Sitting on the road also is not good. Unfortunately, in some places, some people, especially sometimes some young people, sometimes also some old people, for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, they sit on the road. And then women, different people want to pass by, they are not comfortable. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, you must avoid one of the 3 things that are mala'in, which cause la'an, which cause being away from mercy of Allah. One of them is أن يقعد أحدكم في ظل يستظل فيه أو في طريق أو في نقع ماء, is to sit on the road, make the road narrow and also uncomfortable. Another is there is a shadow. Someone sits there, doesn't let other people benefit from it. Or in water, for example, if someone is sitting in the water, for example, if this water is for others and they need it. In another hadith, it is said, إِيَّاكُمْ وَالْجُلُوسَ عَلَى الطُّرُقَاتِ, don't sit on the roads. فَإِنْ أَبَيْتُمْ, if you must sit, there is no need, there is no other way and you need to sit, فَأَعْطُوا الطَّرِيقَ حَقًّا, so at least make sure that there is enough right observed for the road. So it means you are not blocking the road. And غَضُّ الْبَصَرِ, lower your gaze, so that when people want to pass, especially women, be comfortable. وَكَفُّ الْأَذَى, don't annoy anyone. وَرَدُّ السَّلَامِ, if people say salam, reply to them. وَالْأَمْرُ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَالنَّهْيُ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ, now that you are here, if you see someone is doing something wrong on the street, on the road, someone, for example, wants to rob a house, different things, now you have to exercise your social duty. To come down on the middle of the road, if you want to, for example, unload, if you want to bring your stuff down, try to do it on the side or somewhere that you would not block the road. To make wuzu on the road, Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam said that people should not make wuzu on the road. To say salat on the road, when there is a road and people are using that road, you cannot say salat. Of course, some of them can be makruh, some of them can be haram. You can ask marja. And also when the road is not in use, that can be different. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam also said that there are 10 places that salat is not done, performed there. One is Masan tariq, where people are moving and traveling. And finally, there is a kind of heading, the last point here is about ladies. When ladies are walking on the streets or the lanes in the city, they are recommended or instructed to go close to the walls, not on the middle of the street. It's safer for them, and also maybe they are less being seen on the side of the road. And of course, maybe it's good for everyone to go on the side, but at least women should go on the side. Our Sunni brothers have mentioned this from Rasulullah, and we have also in Shia sources something from Amirul Mu'minin. So from Sunni sources, it is this: لَيْسَ لِلنِّسَاءِ وَسَطُ الطَّرِيقِ. It's not expected, it's not perhaps advice for women to walk in the middle of the street. From Imam Ali in Man La Yahduru al-Faqih, it is La yanbaghi. It's not expected, it's not advisable. للمرأة أن تمشي في وسط الطريق ولكنها تمشي إلى جانب الحائط. A woman is not expected to walk on the road, in the middle of the road, but it's better close to the ha'it, to the walls on the side. Okay, Alhamdulillah, we finished this chapter. Inshallah, in the next section we will talk about fuel and about some other remaining points. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us understand all teachings of Islam, and more importantly to inshallah implement them, especially in our social life. Islam is very beautiful, but greatest beauty of Islam can be seen in our relations and in our social life. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.